What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, chapter 1173. So in this chapter, the Domi Reversi, the giant warrior pirates are trying to kill Jarul. And so, Zoro, Hadrian, Stanton are trying to stop him. Zoro's idea is like he asked if he's allowed to cut them. And basically Hadrian says, well, they don't, and Stanton say they don't want to cut them, they don't want them to die, but their top priority should be to protect Jarul. So Zoro's idea is to avoid getting in between them is basically just jump on their heads and attack them. And he does that, and then Dory and Bragi try to attack Zoro, but they miss and cut each other. And well, they fall down. They're bleeding. Hopefully they're not dead. Hopefully they're not dead. I mean, I don't think they're dead. I don't think they would have them die from that. I mean, Dorian Bryan would probably laugh at that, but I think they're alive. So, and then you see Brooke, uh, tied up, trying to approach Imu Gunko, and he's trying to crawl, basically slither his way there. I mean, or crawl with her. And he yells her name Princess Shuri, and you know he asks if she's Shuri. And Brooke says that it can't be her because even though Gunko looks like her, Shuri would be 80, around 80 years old by now, and that she probably wouldn't recognize the state he's in. And basically, Brooke says that, but her face, the blue hair, the mismatched eyes, and the Holy Land, and her love of his music, that and basically it matches up. So he says she could be Princess Shuri, and then he says he never wanted to think of her for the rest of his life. He calls her a father-killing princess. Basically, her father was someone who Brooke says he owes everything to. And then you see Gunko's mindset, and then Imu's like, Gunko, is thy memory coming back? And then Gunko tells Brooke to run, and the ropes come loose, which does actually allow the other Straw Hats to break free. Brooke partially gets free, and but Emu tightens it up again. But so one of Brooke's feet is still caught. And Emu's like, Gunko, how darest thou? Yeah, I just love how Emu speaks. And basically, and it looks like there's some more to the story regarding Gunko killing her father. And basically Brooks like, what do you mean run? I came to finish what I started. And he asks, who in the world are you? And then it's Emu that's speaking now instead of Gunko through Gunko. And Emu says, shut thy mouth. What are thee to Gunko? And so with all the Straw Hats free, they're and it's like some of the giants, like the giant kids, like the arrows come they're loosened, and yeah, so looks like, and then arrows are they don't know what's going on, but and but Robin's tied up with the thorns, so it's different for her. And then Robin tells Nami that don't worry about her, just save the kids. And then Nami hears Sanji's voice. You know, yeah, basically, Nami. I was like, yep, that's Sanji. And so, like the thorns, those are still surrounding the kids. It's just the arrow stuff that's a little loose. Now it looks like it got straightened back up. So Somers is leading the giant kids, and then basically then you see Gabon's son is like basically you're going to regret it, and so yeah, so the Somers and the is just leading the walk along the giant kids towards the ship, and then you have yeah. Then you have like some of the other giants. They arrive to help to fight off to try to free the kids, and like yeah, but then like the Nika nightmare being like attacks the giants, and like someone's like, you call it Nika, don't play games with us, we're the warrior generation. And then all the giants do an attack on on the Nika monster and knocks it back, and basically yeah, so it falls yeah, so I don't know if like if it looks like so yeah, so Sommers is like, are you trying to flatten me? Like it's like okay. And so he has his weapon out, and he like hits the he hits the Nika monster, but it ends up falling towards the ship and crushing it and destroying the ship. And Sommers is like, oh shoot. I mean, given that's, in English, they probably aren't going to do another word that had appeared in some spoilers regarding what the translation was. So, let's say, Emu's going to, because it was funny, because, like, I mean, because it's funny, because, like, before that, before I was about to get there, he had, I guess, called, he says, hello, Great One, Killingham, almost completed the mission. And then he destroys the ship they were going to be on. Oh, Emu's gonna be pissed. I mean, with the stuff with Gunko, now Sommers. Oh, Emu is not gonna be happy. Like Sommers, no one will be sorry that Sommers gets killed very soon. Now, I don't know if that will be the case because, like, I mean, like with Saturn, we've seen a lot. We've seen the five elders over the course of the series. So, Saturn being killed off, okay, that's fine. But Sommers, we haven't seen a lot of outside. We haven't really seen him at all outside this arc. So I don't think he would get killed off. It wouldn't surprise me. Like now, Gunko's more likely because if she gets freed, she may I don't know age quickly or something. Depends on how the whole thing works. Like for Saturn, like Emu was able to just kill him. So I don't know if taking away the demon seal, if that basically rapidly ages the person, or if he'll or if it just like, okay, you just start aging normal now. Who knows? I don't know. Either way, I thought it was a really good chapter. I really liked how they handled how all like so Brook versus Gunko looks like that's the next big fight. I mean, it's not gonna be. I mean, let's be real. Brook can't be able to do much. I mean, I think Loki and Luffy are going to show up pretty soon there. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Elusive Samurai, Chapter 237. So in this one, you see Tokiyuki's wives and retainers mourning the deaths of Tokiyuki, Kojiro, and Fubuki. Like, and you see Gemba's full face revealed, and like how he's like, you see him cry, even though he was like saying so, like, looking like he was like, making jokes, but he was like, he was sad, and he says he was proud to be his retainer. And then you see some of the, it's kind of a montage of rest of Takaji's rule, like some of the other conflicts, like when he was fighting Nita and and Tadafuyu. And so you see like a lot of the other a lot of his exploits, and then like yeah, so Tadafuyu, he lived basically shows, so his life, so he lived to 74, had 5 kids, so he had a happy life. And it shows Takaji dying 1358. And then like basically so yeah, so you see some of the rest of the Takaji like dynasty, and then like so the Suwa, like what they do, like they became like a priestly line and a warrior line. The warrior line would fall to ruin during the Sengoku period. And like yeah, so basically then like you see like also like Ashikaga Yoshimitsu like leading, like having a personality similar to Tokiyuki. And then yeah, so leading like the Muromachi Shogunate in a time called the Great Flourishing. Yeah. And so basically like the Ashikaga were not able to have a firm grip, and so like there was still resistance. And then like so you see like yeah, how Japan developed. And then it's like, and they're like, as for the fate of Tokiyuki and his retainers, and you see Fubuki, Kojiro, yeah, Tokiyuki, Kojiro, and Fubuki at the river to the underworld. And like you see them, like they're there, all three, they're there. So it looks like next chapter, which looks based on so the title of this chapter was Epilogue Part One. So it looks like it's the like Epilogue Part One and Two. So it looks like next week is going to be the last chapter. And it looks like it's going to get to, okay, what happened in the afterlife with Tokiyuki and his retainers. Probably him reuniting with his family and all that. So that should be interesting. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Obviously you got to acknowledge some of the historical stuff. And there was a whole thing in this chapter about some people, since they couldn't recover the head, some people thought that Tokiyuki may have survived, which, historically, not historically, he was beheaded. And so it looks like the historical telling, I guess, was told over time, I'm guessing. And, basically to make sure that no one would claim that. I mean, because, there are people who would claim to be descendants of Tokyo, because there are potentially in real life actually are a lot of people who could be descendants of Tokiyuki. I don't know if it's like Genghis Khan level of descendants, but Tokiyuki is rumored to have had a lot of descendants. And in this manga, he had like 6 kids, because we see the three children. Then his wives are pregnant when he dies. So we'll see like oh yeah. So who knows what happens next chapter? We'll see how it ends. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi Chapter 111. So in this one, you see some backstory for Samura and Soga. So you see how they would like kill evildoers, and you see it when they first meet, and like Basically, they use their swords to like slay evildoers, and so you have Sama remembering their past, and like and basically you have like their powers like so yeah, so Samura and Soga's powers are canceling each other out. So like Soga's body is weaker, and then yeah, so basically they're fighting, and then Soga says he'll end it quickly for him, and so you see their swords clash, and he's like and basically Samura says the war cursed them that they weren't like he wasn't able to face his daughter, but Chihiro dispelled the curse, and he tells Soga that Chihiro will dispel his curse too. It was like Soga was slashed, and Samura like his body like turns to ash, and you see a feather land where Iori's at, like near Iori, and and the sword, and the sword, Samura's sword just sits there, and then yeah, so Soga says he's wondering what the purpose of the Kaminabi is, and it's to like eliminate threats to the country, and he says he wants to reform the Kaminabi to basically make the corrupt world know about the power of the enchanted blade. So he wants to like take over the Kaminabi and remake it in his image. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. So Sombra's dead now, looks like. So all that's left is Chihiro fighting Soga. We'll see how that goes. Like, will he just use like what will happen? Will he use Samura's sword? The sword's still there. Will he use it? Like, will he use the N10? So we'll see like how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Chapter 79. So in this one, you see Tosaka remembering when Kazumi died and like how he mourned Kazumi's death. And so he fights so he fights Demon Lord Neko, and like he's doing it, but Neko just overwhelms him. Hydra goes trying to help Tosaka out, and yeah, so basically attacks him, but like, and basically, Neko he's not getting damaged a lot, so he does an attack. He basically beats the crap out of Tosaka and Cook. So, and then and yeah, so you see like where he's knocked down, then like he remember. So basically, you see like how Cosme told him that he'll leave it to him, everything to him, to Tosaka. But then Tosaka says now he remembers. He's like now he feels like he can say it, and he says yeah he can leave it to him. And so Tosaka gets back up and gets ready for I guess the next bit of the fight. So it looks like fight's going to continue next week or the week after, depending on how all it's got to do with the other fights. But yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Like the combat, like how they develop some of Tosaka's backstory. So yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapter 69. So in this chapter, so Chrono Weaver is just using rewind to like prevent Minerva's death and the death of Minerva and the baby, and like he's just continually using rewind. Kiyoshi's like, why are you doing that? Like you're just gonna waste your power. And then so there's a flashback. So Chrono Weaver was asked by Jiki Shiron to speed up, Ichi waking up. and like basically they're concerned that if they do that, that could allow Ururo to to take advantage of the shock of Ichiwaka and be able to take over Ichi's body. And yeah, so if that happens, they'll like basically Jeskar said they don't know if they could stop Ururo. So yeah, so then it's gonna be interesting then basically so Crowweaver had asked Jiggy Sharon if she thinks that a human could change fate, and Jiggy Sharon says yes, because Ichi had already done it once, because fate had decreed that men can't be witches, but he exists. And he says she chose Ichi's side because she believes he's worth entrusting her fate to and her wish. So yeah, and then and she says it seems like that Ichi was born under like a star of light. And Crowley remembering there was like yeah he saw that light too, and so he does a skip spell, and right when that giant Kizoshi thing try tries to kill Minerva, Ichi blocks it, and like it seems like Ururo's in control and is just attacking. Um, then it looks like Ururo's trying to take control, but then Ichi seems to be able to take back control and he attacks the Kizoshi monster. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Looks like Ichi's back in the fight next week. So yeah, that should be interesting seeing how he fights and probably him finishing off Kizoshi. So yeah, I thought this was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, chapter 21. So in this chapter, so Tsurugi remembers talking to Maki and based when he was younger, and Maki said that because of my dying she got stronger, but she sometimes wonders if she needed to get stronger and maybe someone else would have dealt with it, like they getting rid of the Zenin clan, and basically without my having to die. And but it may be a fantasy, but she always wonders if there's another way that it could have been that things could happen. And then you see Maru, then you see so Maru crying, and so Tsurugi had let himself get cut, and Maru asked why. Um, like why Tsurugi didn't attack him, because if Tsurugi did just attack him, then he would have been able to like he would then Tsurugi would have won, but Tsurugi says it didn't feel right. He says he had a feeling that future where he won wouldn't be right. And Maru's like, what about right wrong? It's not about right wrong. It should have been, it feels fine for Yuka. So he says he doesn't know. He doesn't know about anything anymore. And then, basically, Maru's just crying. He's like, "You've lived here. Like the humans have lived here for so long." And he's like, "What about the people who've had their place they belong stolen from them?" And he wonders what should they do. And then he's like, "The people who were there from the start, the ones who were always right. What about the people? What about Earth? What about space? Who they belong to?" And he says he doesn't know anything anymore. And then he's like, Mario's like, cross you could some, and then like you see like a spear like some girl like appears before him. Then Maru summoned to some like space where like and then like so Dabra senses it, and he tries to talk to Maharag. Maharag doesn't answer. He just basically they continue their fight. And he's like, first time, Daughter says he met someone quiet him. So the first time he met someone he felt like talking to. And then you see Yuji and Maru in some like other like dimensional space or something. And they see a Kalyan and like Yuji says it does feel similar to a cursed spirit. And he says that Toto had told him everything. Yeah. So it's like they're on like and, but yeah, so and then Mari said that he thought Yuji would be most appropriate for what's going. And then basically Mari says he wants to use Tsurugi and Yuka's grandfather's cursed energy along with his cursed technique to bring harmony to the Earthlings and Sumerians. And he says he can't do it on his own. That Yuji must arbitrate for harmony and be Earth's representative. And Yuji asks what harmony means to him. And Maru's idea is to create a world where cursed spirits are never born. And Yuji pulls out a book and says that was a wish of someone that his big brother was indebted to. And he agrees to do it. And then he says, "Let's go see." And then Maru says, "Let's go see him first," not revealing who he is, and that someone's chosen by his curse technique as a key to harmony, just like Yuji. And apparently, where they're going is like it's a place where the souls of all the people on Earth, cross through. I guess he lived there. And Yuji laughs, and it's revealed to be Mahito. And then, Yuji says that, Mayo says he had to wait till Yuji was dead to see him again. And then Mahito is like, "Wait, you're not dead, are you?" Yuji says he was just summoned there. And then so Mario's like, "Let's begin." Mahito's like scared. He's like, What's going on?" But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Okay, looks like they're trying to explain something. So looks like that. Yeah. So basically, then it's gonna be answered. So no cursed spirits. That's definitely interesting. So yeah, so what's gonna happen with like the so the yeah, so basically then it's gonna be to say how it goes. So how they figured out is that what about the you know basically so is Tsurugi dead? Is he alive? Who knows? What's gonna happen with Yuka? Like if the ritual is successful, will Maharaga be erased? And basically will that just erase the need for Jujutsu sorcerers? So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Gonron Egg Chapter 14. So in this chapter, Gonron says that he can't do 3 years because he has to save his sister, and explains that like her name is Iris, and so basically it's then revealed that Iris is like heavily protected by the elite Dracarchs. That basically basically she's like very valuable to the king due to like her bright stock, like something about with her life energy, so that she's gonna be that she'll be safe. That he has got to train for 3 years. So he's approached by Nell and Kagami, and Oma wants them to encourage him since he lost his nerve war. And so basically, so then they ask about why. So Gonron asks why they joined the Human Liberation Army. So Nell, Nell says that it's the Hellfire Massacre, that he was one of only 11 who survived, and that he has been pursuing Drakark responsible since then, who's a member of the King's Inner Circle. And then, yeah, Kagami says that, and that he was one of 11 survived, and Nell says that she was a slave, but Kagami saved her. And then, yeah, so then basically, you know, so then you have, the 3 years of training happen. You have a little montage of that. And then, like, 3 years, there's like a bunch of war. So the Liberation Army, like, became stronger and expelled the Drakarks from a lot of the land. And, like, so basically, so while the Drakar King was hunting down loyalists to his predecessor, Liberation Army grew in power. And then, like, Rigoku, the Drakark ruler of the human realm, he assembled an army to stop the Liberation Army, and basically fight between those two sides will be the like the decisive battle of the war. So it looks like that the final stage of the battle is about to happen. So yeah, the manga's ending soon. I guarantee it. That's basically how they're doing it. So yeah, I'd like to share like how they're showing. Okay, gave some backstory, a little what we about Sverdel and Kagami, and then like setting up the end game with the 3 years of train montage. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking for the next one. The Mage Next Door, chapter 13. So in this chapter, so Kiyotaka and Idokura, they attack Yobiko and Osagawa. So you have Osagawa changes his and Yobi's clothes until he gets the ones more appropriate for fighting. So then you have a whole magic fight going on. Kiyotaka fights Yobiko, Idokura fights Osagawa, and you see the whole fight going on throughout the school. And then yeah, so basically then yeah, so you see the whole fight going. So Kiyotaka does some like luck magic, and it basically really affects the creatures that Yobiko summons. And then yeah, so and Kiyotaka mocks Yobiko, saying she the black sheep of the of her family. And so you see and then she remembers talking with Osagawa, and basically how how she remembers conversation, and she says like doesn't matter how lucky she is, she doesn't give up. And so basically says she starts getting attacks on Kiyotaka, and she says she doesn't really rely on talent because she'll never give up. So it looks like either Kiyotaka is beaten or the next stage of the fight's about to happen. So yeah, I thought it was a good chat. Like the visuals with the magic, it was cool. Interested in seeing how this fight develops. So yeah, I really liked this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kunon the Sorcerer can see, episode 7. So in this episode, so Kunon can now see, well, it's the title of the show. But he sees some immaterial things. So like there's like a crab behind him, sees like a horn on Iko's head, the feather on the princess's head. You know, he's young, like he's like shining. He sees a bunch of random stuff, and it's like it brings some laughs. And basically yeah, so then we'll see how this goes. So like you have, he's about to go to the far off away magic school. So there's like a birthday party, and so yeah, so Xiangli says that why Kunon sees some things. He doesn't think it's a failure because Xiangli said he trained Kunon, so Kunon didn't fail. So it's either he's seen something regarding the souls of the people, or it's like just some like magic sickness thing that causes him to see immaterial things. And then yeah, so it's funny when Kunon asks Iko, is something Zach or like Iko just messes with him. And so yeah, so Mirka gives Kunon a bracelet for his birthday, saying it's a matching set with hers, and that if he feels lonely, talk to the bracelet like he's talking to her. And then so Kunon leaves for the magic school, with Iko. I guess Soren's his attendant, or whatever. The family says bye. They're sad to see him go. Mirka is trying to do like sort like trying to learn how to use the sword. And yeah, then you see like the episode ends with like a montage of other students about to join the school. So it looks like the next arc is start about like so whoever this magic school is, we'll see who all these other magic students are. So I'm interested in that. So yeah, I thought this was a good episode. So Kunon obviously is now able to see. I was weird. I was like when I saw the episode title was actually gonna be the name of the show. I was like, is this the last episode? Are they ending it with 7 episodes? Because a lot of times with anime, if the episode title is the name of the show, it almost like it means it's the last episode. So that I was confused. I was like, okay, but I was like, okay, they're still going on. Okay, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Looking for the next one. Hayachan isn't scary. Episode 5. So in this one, so Haya's class goes to on field trip. They all board a train. So everyone, the class gets off, but Kaya, for some reason, isn't getting off, so she gets on the train to grab her, but the door closed for her. They can get off the train, and so there's like some rude old guy who is like mad about Seed saying that the kids were freeloaders, they shouldn't sit, earlier, and teachers had given them their chair. And then, like, so a bunch of ghosts are really beyond, and Kaya says that's why she didn't get off the train because they were in the way. And then they get to this underworld station, and like the old guy gets off seeing the ghost, he's scared, and he's like but it was like he's attacked by a ghost. And then so Chi and Kaya get off. Mob was trying to contact Chi about like something regarding Kaya's mother, and she was trying to ignore him. And then Mob appears having tracked the GPS on Chi's phone, and he takes Kaya and Chi to a a nursing home where Kaya's grandmother lives. So of the Ebi like so it was like the like Ebi Simuro family. So so the basically so they see like these Kaya and Bob sees like pickup spirits that hang around old people when they're about to die. Basically, it's like if they see them, that means they're close to death. And so Kaya drives one way, but then all the other are trying like, hey, drive, get by the way. And so they all run. Mom tries to hold them off. Then the grandmother appears, says, shoos them all away, like all the old people away. Calms everyone down. And then so Chi and Kai enter the grandmother's room. They don't see her. Then the grandmother, and the grandmother's scared when she sees Kai because Kai has like it's like an eerie smile, kind of like Anya Forger's hair face in Spy Family. And then so when they get so and like Grimmer freaks out. She says, "Don't." He said, "Hey, if you do something, if you're gonna kill someone, kill me. Don't kill." He said, "She's like, don't kill Naylor." And then hinting at it looks like there's something inside of Kaya, like an evil spirit or something. And I'm not gonna reveal. I do know the spoiler about what's inside of her. I'm not gonna reveal it, but on the on the way back, toward the mom, with his basically his wife, mom's wife is driving, and so Kaya wakes up, and she's like, "Were we not able to see grandmother?" And basically, she didn't remember anything from the nursing home. She didn't remember anything. So she's wondering, did she just forget to, or like did she was there something, was it not Kaya there? And basically says that the question would be answered later in narration by Chi. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, so that's gonna be, so yeah, the Ebi Sumori clan. That's gonna be, there's gonna be some stuff regarding that revealed probably pretty soon. But yeah, I liked it. Definitely, let's do like Kaya looking like some evil villain was definitely interesting. And the ghosts were cool. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hell's Paradise season 2, episode 5. So in this episode, Gabimaru and Yuzuriha try to help the others and figure out how to control Tao, like basically how they do it, like with their ninja techniques. And so everyone's like trying, and this whole bit where Gonta Susai is just so when you Yuzuriha is asked to teach, she's like, he's like, how do you control stealth, like Tao, for your stealth purposes? Because they try and use stealth in order to get the elixir from the Tenzin and to avoid the Tenzin. But Yuzuriha is like, oh, you're talking about my charms, and she like basically just, there's a lot like, and the basically the the she's just like basically shows off like her tits, and then like she's like, he's excited, and and they're like, no, we just to try to get together. It's like, no, we were trying to get the elixir, and so funny is Yuzuri says like like sculling Sagari for, I guess, her Tao being disturbed with her. And then Gazu's just staring at Yuzuriha's butt the entire time. It's so funny. Like, dude, that was so funny. Yeah, like this guy was funny. And like, yeah, and it's funny how Yuzuriha and Gabi were just wearing glasses every time they were teaching. That bit was funny. It's weird because those were Senta's glasses, and it's like, what? I was like, man, they're not as grave, man. Yeah, that bit was funny. And so then they sneak to try to sneak into the Tensin's lair to find the elixir. So Chobe had like basically he's kind of joined with the Tensin, trying to learn how they do. So he's trying to learn Tao for them, but also like fulfill his own motives. And it was like he's tortured by Ren, and then like, so you see the all Gabimar's group, they infiltrate the the center, but then they believe that they're gonna avoid the Tensin, but then all Tensin are there, and they're like, yeah. So Chobe had told them about had told had told the Tensin and everything because he could feel like his brother's Tao. So yeah, so basically the fight between the Tensin and Gabimaru's group is gonna happen. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Liked all the teacher stuff. It was funny. So interesting. What will happen if that other group when the other group gets involved, like a samurai ninja. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Under Doctor Chapter 3. So in this chapter, Haiji's like doing some research. He like had bought something that like was really expensive, so he doesn't have a lot of money, right? He only has 80 yen left in his account. So he's trying to research like incurable diseases, figure out how to make cures, even though like they're like some of them are very rare, so some people don't want to like fund them because they're so rare, it wouldn't be worth it. Basically, it's all for a friend of his that he's trying to cure, and then yeah, so basically then so Chiwa, you know, gets on him for spending a bunch of money, but she says that he has a job for him. She has a job for him, and it's like so she asks if he can speak Mandarin. So they go to Shanghai to meet with they meet with this guy named Lai, and like basically so the request came from a the Black Coin, which is like a crime group out of Shanghai, and basically so basically the operation is to perform a heart transplant for the daughter of the boss, Kong Lianya, and basically the reward is 500 million yuan, which converts to 1 billion yen. And so Liayi leads Haiji and Chiwa to the boss, so Lianya like says that so Haiji looks at so Lianya introduces his daughter, his name's Yoki. Haiji looks at the two and says that 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 Lian Ya is the one who actually needs surgery. Basically, Lian explains that he lied about Yoki needed because if his enemies learned that he needed surgery, they would try to target him. So Yoki needing surgery wouldn't be a causes me problems. So despite the deception, Haiji agrees to do the surgery. And he asks who's the donor. You know, Chiwa would just do deception. Would consider like just not taking the client. But Haiji says he'll do it, and she and basically Haiji asked if there's a donor. Leon says to use his daughter to transplant his daughter's heart into him, and basically so for heart transplants, donor hearts are taken from brain dead ones, not healthy ones, and basically Leanna has a rare blood type called Bombay blood. Only one out of 100,000 people have it. Basically, he couldn't find a donor, but he ended up finding Yoki was a 14-year-old ex-prostitute in the slum. So ex-prostitute gave birth to Yoki without Leon. So basically, Leon had screwed a prostitute, and Yoki's the result of that. Had grown up, I guess, in that area. So Yoki had seen some things probably. Man, yeah, you can see how sad she is. It's something happened, like, and so yeah, and basically he's like, yeah, she agreed, and like Haiji could tell that Yoki did not agree, that she's just being forced to it. So Haiji says that the deal is off, and he says that if he's using her heart, that he ain't gonna do it, but if he finds a proper donor, he'll do it. And he says, but if he can't, he's leaving with Yoki now. And so Yoki says, "Do it because everyone who to do this because everyone who said no has been." She can't complete the sin because Lianya covers her mouth, implying that Lianya kills all doctors who have said no. And so then so Lianya's men then attack Haiji, and then it looks like Haiji punches the guy down. Looks like the fight between Haiji and Lianya is about to happen. See, I like this chapter. Like how they show how Haiji, how he spends his money. It looks like some motivation regarding a friend of his. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kanto's Magic, Chapter 2. So in this chapter, so you have Line's like narrating like her, Kyoto, and Jien's like trip to like the guild headquarters. Basically, like I guess so she could maybe write autobiography future and live off of royalties. And then yeah, so they head there. They get to the guild hall, the Avenger Association Eastern branch. So the headquarters looks like a mushroom. So I guess a stammer named Hibiki like helps with the registration, and then a magic assessment doll like arrives to help assess Kyoto's abilities and figure what the rank is. So basically, the doll calls Kyoto a maggot. Basically, it's like it's below standard base level, and then but the doll says if Kyoto seeks its authorization, Kyoto will have to prove himself. And then Kyoto says he'll do it. He'll do. Some are wondering if there's something wrong with the doll. So then, yeah. So basically, the doll says Kyoto has to help more than 10 people with his magic. So Kyoto goes around helping people with magic. And he talks about he's asked about why he wants to be an adventurer. So Kyoto says his village was attacked by monsters, and that adventurers from the guild defeated the monsters, and one adventurer uses magic to warm up some soup to give to all the villagers. Basically, he wanted to learn to use magic to help people like that adventurer. And like, dude, the doll's just he's like, if you want to do that, all right, try warming up this ice cold verdict on my fast. I'm like, dang, this doll don't care. So Kanto, like, he uses Seitai magic to help people, and then yeah, so he helps a guy who's injured, a guy who's like is sick, goes around helping people, and then like a building's on fire, so he uses his mana ball to like his massage ball infuse with mana to like force water to basically stop the fire, and then you'll give a kid a fun ride. So he puts out the fire, and then the doll says he passes. So Kanto's an adventurer, but the color he's colorless, so he's a first person to get a starring rank below bronze, and then yeah, so and then so the Kanto, Line, and Jin then have to go head to the capital to the Iron Fanes Adventurers Guild. So it looks like we'll see how. So interesting. If Kanto is that low in power, the Adventurers must be very powerful. Unless it's something to do with his magic, like the type of magic he uses, like he could be. Then he must be very weak. There must be some very powerful like mages. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Liked how they showed like it starting to introduce the Adventurers Guild and all that. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Alien Headbutt Chapter 1. So this is a new manga started by Suyusha. So this takes place. It starts in February 10th, 2028, like the present time. But it starts out with like in the past you have this one kid named Oga Shirokiba who was a big fan of professional wrestling. He had dreamed of being a wrestler, but he was willing to be a fisherman to help his mother, take care of like his siblings because she didn't have the father. His father was dead, so he wanted to help the house, but then like basically then so his mother had bought a ticket to Tokyo for him to learn, prepare, be a wrestler, and all the basically the mother, the siblings all cheer him on, and he goes. Then he has a successful professional wrestling career. He like doesn't care about the rules. I mean, it's professional wrestling. A lot of stuff is staged. But I mean, You choking the guy with the chain. I don't even know if Vince McMahon would even would allow something like that. Maybe like a fake threat about it, but not like yeah. So the guy becomes known as Shirokoma the Hellhound, and so wraps a chain around the neck of Nanase, the world heavyweight champ, and wins. And he gets the he beats Nanase, becomes the world champion. And then yeah, so wins, and then once he gets the belt, he heads back to his to the island where he was from. And so you have the chair Oniyashiki, the chairman of Ultimate Japan Pro Wrestling. So like he tells like someone who's trying to deliver some alcohol for Shirokiba that Shirokiba doesn't drink, and like he's not as wild in real life as he is in the ring, because if he was, he'd be in prison. Basically, he's just going back to see his family to show them the belt, because he had not talked with them, seen them at all since then. So he heads back to the island, which is called Mukurojima, aka Corpse Island. So he's talking with this one guy, you know, about what he's done, and then like they get to the island, then like no one's around, some cars are overturned, there's no phones, then some robot, whatever, knocks a guy down, probably kills him, and like looks like some robot or something. So Shokiba like fights the thing, and he can't. He tries to fight, but then like he's able to use his wrestling moves to beat the thing, to beat the robot, and he remembers like when he was trained, learning how to be a wrestler, how he. So yeah, so he beats the robot. He says he's gonna beat all of his enemies and find his family. So that was interesting. So yeah, but yeah, so then Cherokee was stabbed through the chest by something that shot out of the thing, the robot's like eye, and so somehow he's alive after being stabbed through the chest. So I don't know. And then he says he promises. Chapter ends with him saying he's gonna promise to save his family. So it looks like he survived getting stabbed through the chest. That may not have been a vital spot. So very lucky, uh, right there. But yeah, we'll see what happens next. Actually, I thought it was a good chapter, good way to start. So mixing professional wrestling with aliens. That's definitely interesting. Yeah, that's just funny. But yeah, I thought like that could be interesting. Like, I'm guessing if they're gonna make a bunch of references to real professional wrestling, okay, West real wrestling's fake, but but like some like like Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know, basically, Mick Foley, bunch of bunch of the old wrestlers. Like you could get a bunch of moves. You could just do a bunch of moves based off of that'd be fun. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.